Hi, thanks for joining me for quick business tips. I'm Jennifer Swineford. Can you imagine spending a day without sitting through back-to-back meetings? A day where you didn't put out any major fires and you didn't spend the day cleaning out your inbox, but instead you spent the morning reading up on industry trends. Then you had a 2 hour lunch with your mentor and you spent the afternoon thinking. Maybe it was thinking while you were going on a walk, or you spent time looking at a whiteboard and brainstorming and really mapping out where you wanted next year to go. If you got to the end of a day like that, and you imagine yourself wondering, what did I really do today? And then felt a little bit of guilt because you felt like your day was unproductive. There wasn't a list of tasks that you can look back on and see that you completed. If this is something you've either felt yourself or can imagine feeling after having a day like that, you're not alone. Because this feeling is one of the most common and potentially most dangerous growing pains for a successful leader. So today we're going to dig into that guilt and we are going to give a name to your most valuable, yet oftentimes invisible work. This feeling that you have, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's laziness, after spending a day in deep work, but not checking tasks off the list, comes from a very simple place. It's because a lot of your identity can still be stuck in a past version of yourself. When we first start out in a business, or even in a job when we're 16, most of the time we start out as a taskmaster. Our days become built on just getting things done. So if you're starting out a business, you are sending invoices, you're writing marketing copy, you're taking sales calls. And it's really easy for your sense of value and accomplishment to be directly tied to the checklist that you can go back to at the end of the day and say, I had a productive day. Because it's easy to look at that list and see that the more things that are crossed off, the more productive you've been. But then the business grows and you step into your role as a real leader, and that busybody, just starting out solopreneur type of mindset needs to evolve into a founder and a team leader and eventually a CEO. Because your job is no longer to be the most productive doer of all the tasks. Your job becomes the chief architect of the business and where it's headed into the future. But if you are still trying to measure this new founder, leader role type of work with that old doer mentality, that's where imposter syndrome kind of steps in. Or you start feeling like you're lazy, or you're not working, or not working hard enough. But in fact, you are doing the real work that the business needs to continue moving forward. So, in order to break through this mental block, we need to create a new way to look at the work that we are doing. And we need to see all of the quote invisible tasks that we are working on. And the easiest way that I've come across to get this done is to look at the 3 C's of leadership level work. So the first one is clarity. This is when you start setting the course for your business. There's a lot of deep thinking when you're doing clarity. And you need to step away from that daily churn so that you are able to see the big picture. You might read books and industry reports and study your competition or study other businesses that are where you want to be, even if they're not in the same industry. You oftentimes sit and ponder some big strategic questions. And the output of this type of deep thinking isn't really just checking a task off a list, but you end up with a clear, simple vision that your entire team can get excited about and execute. So that is the first thing that you need to get super clear on as you step into your role as a leader. The second is creating an environment of nurturing or your company culture. So while clarity is where your business is going and this culture nurturing environment is more how you're going to go about getting there. So this is the values of the business, the energy of the business, digging into team dynamics. This isn't about micromanaging projects and roles, but it's about digging into the human element of all of the individual pieces that are working together in your team. So it might be having a long, agenda-free conversation with a top employee. It might be really digging in and writing down and getting more clarity on your company's core values. What is the big why behind what everyone has pulled together to do? Or it might just be taking time to be present and listen to people on your team. And when you're working on the company culture, the output of this time that you put in is not going to be a new product line, not going to be a new service or a new marketing campaign. But what you're going to have instead is a resilient, highly motivated, strategically aligned team that are able to solve problems without you being present. The third pillar in this framework is the ecosystem that you build, not just internally, but externally as well. So this is all the connections that you need to make to run the business as successfully as you would like to run it. This is when you start really digging into which external relationships are key to not just growing your business, but protecting it as well. So it's not transactional networking. It's more having coffee with a strategic partner that could turn into a major collaboration 6 months down the road. Or having lunch with a mentor who has gone before you and is way ahead of you and is able to give you the kind of perspective that you're not going to be able to get on your own. It also can be you spending time being the chief ambassador for your brand within your industry. So what you get out of this is not a signed contract right now, today, this week, next month, but it is a complete strategic web that you have put together of support as well as future opportunities to sustain your business for years to come. So quick review, the 3 C's are clarity. This is the where your business is going, culture, how your business is going to look getting there, and then the connections that you need to really sustain your business for years to come. Okay, so let's pretend for a minute that you are totally bought in. You want to spend some time in this invisible work on these 3 C's. You understand that this time is extremely valuable. Then the final hurdle for you is very practical. If your calendar is already packed, full of meetings and urgent tasks, how do you make space for this work? Because this work is like you're going to need chunks of time. This isn't a 20-minute walk between meetings where you can do deep thinking. I mean, I can barely pull together a full cognitive thought in 20 minutes sometimes. So, like, I need a whole day, at least half a day, to really get into a deep thinking place. And it needs to be time that I don't feel like I'm pressured to be pulled into a meeting or talking to someone that's having trouble finishing a project. Like, I really need it to be both a time and a space that is separate from the busyness of the day to day. So the first thing that I like to do when I am making time for this deeper, more invisible work is to find a good rhythm. So I have to be really intentional about taking time in my calendar that gets blocked off, that no other people, no other meetings under any circumstances can take over that time that I've blocked out. And what works for you is going to be completely personal for you. So it might be in the morning, it might be in the afternoon, it might be later in the evening, it might be a weekend. I like to block out every Monday for my CEO days. So every Monday, I spend really thinking about how this week is going to go, what big projects we have coming up in the next month, 60, 90 days. It kind of becomes my clarity day. For you, it might be the first Friday of every month, or it might be the first 90 minutes of every day. You have to find a rhythm that works for you and your own unique personality. But the important part is put it on your calendar as a non-negotiable, recurring event and protect that time more fiercely than you protect almost anything else. Now, the next thing that I like to do is create space for this type of leadership work by delegating tasks to other people on my team. And I am not just saying like give someone a to-do list. I'm saying true delegation. So that means not only delegating the tasks, but also the ownership and the responsibility of those tasks. Because if you still have to go back and check to make sure that the work is being done and being done correctly, then you haven't really let go of those tasks and you're not truly freeing up that space on your calendar. And the last thing I like to do is to remind myself almost weekly that I need to let go of the hustle mindset. Because the things that I did to get to my first 100,000 or my first 500,000 is not the same type of things that is going to get me to my next 500,000. So in short, what got you where you are right now is not going to be the same thing that gets you where you want to be. So when I was starting out, I needed speed and execution. I needed to close jobs. I needed to go network with new potential clients. And I didn't have to really think deeply about where my company was going to be 5 or 10 years from now. But now that I've hit some major milestones in my business, I do need to remind myself to give myself that permission to do the deep work and really plan long term for my business and where it's going. So, a productive day for that doer, task manager type of person is just checking off everything on your to-do list. But a productive day for someone at your level of leadership might be one amazing, insightful idea, or one step that you know is going to build a stronger team culture, or one new, incredibly valuable relationship that may not pay off for 6 or 12 months. It's a completely different way to look at how you're spending your time on a day-to-day basis. You need to transform yourself and your thoughts and the time that is being spent on your calendar from doer into leader. And it can be one of the most challenging but most rewarding transitions that you as an entrepreneur can make. And if you feel like you might be stuck in this taskmaster mode and you would like someone to come alongside you and help you create the space and the systems to really step into your next leadership role with confidence, I would love for you to book a next level call with me. We can map out what your future could look like and create a plan to help you get there. The link is in the show notes. One thing I would love for you to do this week is to just take a look at your calendar. Look at the week that is coming up next and block out just 2 hours of time that week. Make this your CEO time. Don't put anything else on the calendar, no meetings, no client projects, and give yourself this 2 hour window just to really think and strategize about what you want next year to look like. If you start this practice now and give yourself permission to do this invisible work, you will create so many very visible, long-lasting, impactful moves in your business. So until next week, keep leading with integrity, serving with heart, and striving for your own limitless impact.